And I think it's so important that when somebody does come forward to say, I need help or this is happening to me, we need to really, really believe them and take that seriously.
Calls for rapid change in hopes of saving lives. A woman killed after asking a court for help. Her estranged husband charged with murder.
She showed a judge vulgar text messages and smashed belongings, but that was not enough to prove she needed protection. News 5's Emily Hamilton spoke with victims' advocates who say qualification for these types of orders are outdated.
Yeah, Rob and Anita, under current law, it's up to a court to decide whether a victim is in imminent danger, and victims' advocates say far too often protective orders are denied if there's no proof of physical abuse. Friends of Gabrielle Clevenger say she endured months of emotional abuse before she was stabbed to death. Does he ever try to choke you? Is there a gun in the house? Do you believe he's capable of killing you? These are just a few questions victims are often required to answer when filing for a civil protection order against a partner. And those who advocate for victims of domestic violence say there lies the problem.
There can be emotional, there can be verbal, there can be financial, there can be stalking.
Melissa Graves of the Domestic Violence and Child Advocacy Center says there's too much room for interpretation when a court is issuing or denying those orders.
Another person might look at the situation and say, well, if there's been no violence, if there's no threat of violence that I can see in front of me, I'm not going to issue the protective order.
In 22-year-old Gabrielle Clevenger's case, there was no reported history of physical abuse, only verbal.
They failed her, and the law needs to be changed.
A Richland County supervising judge says while text messages Alec Blair allegedly sent his estranged wife are vulgar and disgusting, they weren't illegal.
The man, blew up her phone like no other, just text message after text message, calling her these awful names.
Court documents show Clevenger called police on Blair multiple times before a judge denied her a protective order against him. And Graves says for these victims, that denial is a devastating blow.
Because they have now gone out and made a move to protect themselves, their abuser knows, and now they're in a doubly dangerous situation.
Weeks later, police say Blair admitted to killing his wife and led investigators to her body. Advocates are calling policies surrounding protective orders outdated.
When they come forward and say, I'm scared and I'm fearful, we need to take that very seriously, whether or not there's proof.
And say while emotional and psychological abuse may be more difficult to prove, these victims are in danger. And today, the supervising judge of the Richland County Division of Domestic Relations stood by the judge who denied Clevenger's request for a protection order. She went on to say there was no way the court could have predicted her death. They refused our request for an on-camera interview.